deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved.
All right. Hello, family. We are live for the first time, and it seems like forever. Blessed to see those of you here that have made it already. I am apologizing up front for being a little bit tired, exhausted from the crazy day. It's been a long, crazy day. And but I am blessed to have Randy Smith with us, an author that I met. He's a local author. He could almost just come over to my house and do this. That's how close he is. And so I have him on. I'm about to bring him in. I just wanted to say hey to a lot of you guys really quick. See who all is here. We have Charles, Rachel, AOS, Chris Miller, and then Rachel again, Jack. Who else? Jack again, Mr. Cleve, GR Cleve in the house, Ray Adkins. We got Lorna B. And Sacred Values. Man, people are coming in now. So Warnings, Sky Dome. Tyler Porter, I knew you'd make it. I was hoping you'd be here. And then Josh from the VI. I wonder if that's the Josh I just met. All right. And Trey. So it's good to see everyone. Hope you guys are as blessed and overjoyed as we are to be here having fellowship. I'm going to go ahead and bring the guest on, Mr. Smith. So hello, Randy.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an honor, man. I got to meet you a couple weeks ago, actually. I'm trying to think. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
2 or 3,
yeah.
The days are running together. But yeah, we got to meet at a local meetup. So now we're here hanging out. He did a book, and his book that we're discussing here, Constellations, I'll pull it up so I can get everything correct. It's called Constellation, Biblical Cosmology, Why It Matters. So it's a really good read. I had a chance to go through it real quick, so we'll be talking about it and helping him promote this work. It's good to get things out there like this. I have found that a lot of people out there that are learning things like to do so in a book format, reading a book, breaking it down, referencing things. And so this is another one of those things that ties in a lot of the biblical stuff. So you can share it to people who are into the Bible, but this book also has some scientific things in it as well. So, Randy, what all does this book cover? I'll kind of pull up the next slide so you can break it down for everyone.
What doesn't it cover?
That's what I tried to get after I read it.
Yeah, I tried to get as much in there as I could. I wanted to tackle the topic from a biblical standpoint because for me, as a man of faith, the biblical side of things is really what sold it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wanted to cover the secular proof, the historic evidence, and things from a scientific angle for the people that might not look at it the same way I do. So I tried to dedicate half the book to the biblical, half to your historical and scientific. And then at the end of the book, I tried to marry those two things together to where you could see that they hold hands, that they go hand in hand, one with the other. One proves the other.
Yeah.
So,
that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah. I wanted to break down in the very first chapter, what does science tell us? I wanted to, I list out the heliocentric model, and I took care to list the ridiculously large numbers that they're given. And I do that for a point. I want to point out, the reason why they use such large numbers, and how the order of the universe that they provide us is a complete opposite of what the Father tells us in His Word. And that brings us right into the second chapter, which I believe is the linchpin for the whole biblical cosmology, and that's the firmament.
Yes.
I really try to tackle the firmament. I don't want to give too much away, but I try to tackle the firmament from all the scriptural angles as well as linguistically, what it means in different languages and the belief of that time.
Wow. It's important to do that, especially starting out a book of this nature out like that, because that's something I never even though I heard the word firmament, there was never any investigation to it. Never did our science teachers ever mention this. It was always that flat disc where you fall off the edge
Right.
imagery they want us to have. And that's key to the lie, is to not let us even visualize or begin to visualize what could actually be above us. And they use all those words, infinite space, deep space, and words that were never in the Bible.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that was me up until 8 or 9 years ago. I've read Genesis and read the word firmament and just glossed over it time after time after time. But when I actually was awakened to this knowledge, it hit me in a whole different way. And I was like, how did I not see this before? How have I not seen this already?
Yeah.
So I really wanted to cover the firmament. And of course, in chapter 3, we talk about the foundations of the earth. And numerous times through scripture, we are told that the earth is set upon foundations. So I tackle that, and I try to get all the proof and the evidence that I can find together on that, leading us into the sun, moon, and stars in chapter 4. And anybody that's looked into that, that's pretty telling of the true model of creation that we have versus what we're taught in heliocentricity.
Yeah. And just the name, when we say that name now, heliocentricity or heliocentric, it just like, I don't know, it just strikes a nerve. It's like, man, how are we were giving homage to these sun gods with just the names of the things, even the word solar system, having the word Sol for Sol Invictus, like
absolutely
riddled with these names that we the Apollo missions, everything about it is just pure false god worship and intertwined. And that's the cool thing. Enoch telling us that was going to happen, that we'd be taking these planets to be gods.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I cover that in a later chapter in the book. I draw the lines of how the heliocentric model is actually tied to the occult and pagan idol worship and things of that nature. So,
yeah, that sounds
definitely see that mirror there, and wanted to cover that.
Yeah, that sounds a lot like the the other book. I haven't had a chance to check out your other book, but the links are in the description for all of his books. His website right here. The link you see on the screen is actually in the description. But yeah, that Lifting the Veil book, you had that at the gathering. I saw it, and I thought, I wonder if did you tie any of that stuff into this book?
Yes, but unintentionally. It actually turned out that Lifting the Veil was the perfect building block. It was a great foundation to go back and reference why the chapters in the constellations are tied to that as well. Because I go into greater detail about the systems of the world and actually who's pulling the strings and calling the shots in Lifting the Veil. And then when you look, I believe it's chapter 11 in Constellations, where I break down the heliocentric model. When you look at that and you have the knowledge from the first book, it really clicks. There's a lot of things to where the books go together, but they're also good standalone reads.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, this one could stand alone. This one goes through everything, and it's similar to the one that we just did. So I think it's kind of cool, the timing that your book came out, and then we just had one, me and Matthew Beavers. I like to say we as if I did a whole lot. I did one chapter, but it was so hard. it was so much work. It's just like to think that people are out there writing books and doing this for a living is amazing, because I spent a whole summer doing one chapter. It seemed like I know I had a lot going on this summer, but taking the time to do a chapter and going back and getting writer's block and finding out that's actually a thing is tough. It's much easier to do a video where you talk about stuff, but putting it in writing to me just seems like a challenge, especially thinking of it as like, this is concrete, you know, it's going to be in that book forever. You kind of just have to
Right.
relax and let the spirit move and not really let it, and not put pressure on yourself. I guess if you put pressure on yourself, you can't do it. But
No, you're right with that. This book,
yeah,
it was so interesting the way that it came to me. This one was very easy to write.
yeah,
The first book, you know, it was my first book. A lot of time went by. You know, I spent over a year on the first one.
hmm,
But the content for Constellations, it came to me almost via direct download. A lot of
wow,
the chapters, as I was writing them, the information would just come, and I would go ahead and put that in the chapter. And then during edits, I went back to research to make sure all of my bases were covered. And some of the stuff was just, it was amazing what came to me and lined up perfect with the research that I put in after. So,
yeah,
you know, this book almost went in reverse. I had researched the topic for years prior to writing it, but some of the information that I put in it as I was writing what I'd already researched went far beyond what I knew. And then
yeah.
I went back to dig and look that up, and it was just like, you know, thank God for this revelation. So
Hmm.
to help get this message out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Everything we receive, it's almost it's not us being geniuses. It's like the Holy Spirit guiding us. Like, here, look into this. You know, like
Absolutely.
go this direction, and it's mind blowing. It just knocks you off your feet so many times, and it's like we have. That's why people are sharing so much. Like people are writing books that have never written books, and making videos that have never made videos, and doing all these things, getting out of their comfort zones, and having gatherings, bringing people together. It's one of those things that it's so powerful, and just how it reveals how good the enemy is at lying. It's
Oh
about
yeah.
everything, you know, especially what we live on.
He's definitely a master craftsman when it comes to lies.
Yeah.
The meetup that we had, that's the first gathering that I've ever went to. And, you know, you were saying how people are writing books and speaking out now.
Yeah.
It was amazing to see so many people, and some of them from, you know, far away, that had come
Yeah.
to our local meetup just to fellowship together. It lets
Mhm.
you know you're not alone out there.
Yeah, it's a blessing. We have people like from Florida. I mean, I've had Oklahoma, Florida, Iowa, like they just come in from everywhere, and it's the most awesome people. Like there was
Oh,
a
yeah.
lady there, she was like she was in her 80s and she came from Florida, and she
I
rode up
talked to
with,
her.
yeah,
Yeah.
really awesome. I'm trying to remember her name. Ah, man, really sweet, but she came up, and her friend is actually really close to where we were having the meetup, like a mile away.
Okay.
Man, what are the chances? It's so cool. And this in the town that I live in, I feel like I drive through the town and think, is anybody here awake? It just seems like no one's awake, but there's people out there, and if you may not think there is, but use things like the Flat Earth app, the Sun and Moon app, and locate people. You can literally look on a map and see the people that have downloaded it, and all those little blue dots. There's probably that's like probably half or less of the people that actually believe the way we do out there. Those are just the ones that have downloaded the app. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of resources. People really need to be uniting, especially now. Times are getting really crazy. I feel like it's about to get interesting in the next year or so.
I think you're right. I think we're
Yeah.
definitely going to see some things that most people are not expecting to see. I think we're going to enter some very interesting times in the next couple of years.
Yeah. It's like you always think it can't get worse than this. It can't get worse than the
Mm.
election we had with the presidents, you know, the ones that everybody they like the enemy uses, and it is actually kind of crafty to make half the world hate or half the country hate one person and the other half hate the other person. So you're planting these seeds of hate, unforgiveness, anger, and that was a weapon that I did not expect. It came out of nowhere, and you saw people divided on a whole new level. It was
Oh yeah.
powerful. Little kids, I mean, like my niece is arguing about this stuff. I'm like, wow, the enemy's done something that I've never seen in all my life, and that's divide even our little children. They're precious little kids screaming at each other about this stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah. I'd never heard my children talk about politics until that election, and they would have something to say almost every day from what the other kids in their class were talking about. And I
yeah.
mean, you're so right. It was just very widespread.
Yeah, we had teachers talking about it in classes, and it's like they couldn't refrain themselves. They're like, "I got to tell you who to vote for." It's like they were having this hard time, and even I talk to people all around the world now, and and that's a blessing because it lets me see that what's going on here is such a good show that it's affecting people in Canada, Australia, other places. They're like, oh my gosh, have you seen what's going on with the election over there? And I'm thinking, man, I don't think I've ever watched election news for other countries. It's never really been anything like pops up on our TV, and here you have the whole world captivated and in anger and all of that division.
Yeah.
You got Geo Truth. There he is. There's George. Geo Truth. He just put out one of his first videos. You guys should go check it out. Got to meet him at Flattoberfest and got to meet a lot of people there. It was quite the experience, seeing everybody. And but to get back on what you were saying about the meetup, yeah, it was interesting. There was like 6 people there that had written books. We were like exchanging books left and right. I was like, I didn't expect that. But everybody there was pitching in and going, yeah, here's my book, have one. So now I've got like 4 books. It's nice. Now
I think all of your guys' books were gone by the time I arrived. They went quickly.
Yeah, Matt. I think he brought about 15 and he gave them away.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably because of the cover. You know, you had a pretty great cover designer for that book.
Yeah. It was you, wasn't it?
So, it might have been me.
Yeah. So if you guys are wondering why our cover looks way better than anything we do, it's because Randy designed the cover. Yeah, it looks really good. Let me see if I can find it. I've actually got a picture of it in here somewhere. There's me and Matt. But yeah, there it is. I cut it off. I don't know how. Somehow I cut it off.
Oh no!
That's part
of it. Butchered it.
Maybe I was trying to cut out my name. But yeah, there was me and Matthew Beavers at the Flattoberfest signing autographs. It was so hard. My hand still hurts. I'm in recovery. Yeah, we didn't even sell all of them there. We were selling them for cheap. If you were there, you got to have them for $10.
Oh wow!
Get much cheaper than that. But yeah, all the links are in the description for his books, for Randy's books, and I even put ours in there at the bottom too, just to kind of, if you want to see that, if you haven't had a chance to see it yet, we have one. We're not rivals or anything. We're both trying to spread the good word and
spreading the same message. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So whoever will be receptive of it, and it's getting hard to reach people here, but we have been blessed. We just passed 100,000 subscribers a couple of weeks ago, and that is something that when I first asked the Father to send people this way, no clue that it would be that powerful of a move, that many people. And continually, it's still happening. It's still happening as we speak. People finding us and being sent this way. And it's an answer to a prayer that we prayed, 5 years ago. I think it was 5 years ago. I started doing this like 6.5 years ago. But yeah, that one prayer, I said, you're showing me the firmament. You're showing me all this stuff. Just send people this way. And bam. It just I'm not kidding. Overnight, I woke up the next day to so many. Thank you, David. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the super chat. It's always humbling. And I've been very fortunate that with growth, usually it's hard for people to stay humble and not make their channel or platform an idol. And so I'm just blessed. It seems like the bigger we grow, the more humble I get, because I'm just so thankful that the Father's continuing to answer. I don't know why somebody like us, but he sees things that we can't. And so it's been quite the journey.
I'm happy to see you guys growing. We need more voices out there. I've been binging a lot of your channel's content over the last few weeks, and you guys do a great work. Keep it coming.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, we've got some crazy news too. I'm gonna wait. I think I want to wait. I don't know. The people we were going to do a movie with, they want to do the film, the feature film, and I've had them on. They came on our channel a few weeks back, David and Sarah, and man, some things have happened. That's all I'm going to say. I may have them on and let them catch you guys up, but it's a blessing. And they had no clue. It was one of those things that caught them off guard. It caught me off guard, and so things are good. It's good news. It's good news, not bad news. So I'll leave it at that. But definitely excited to see what the future holds with this, because we need to really find every avenue we can, use all the talent we have. Time is just running out to reach people. I feel like we're really close to where we're not going to have much, these types of resources and ways to reach people. So we really need to do everything we can. Those of you who just feel like, man, this journey's too hard. I've done so much. I don't want to keep pushing on. Just kind of shake it off and keep moving forward. Keep sharing stuff, even if it's just sharing links, like, hey, here, I'm sending links to someone. You never know what's going to stick. bug people. A lot of times when I hear people that have woke up to this, they're like, I had this one friend and they kept sending me links. And after about the 5th time, I finally watched the video and that's how they woke up. It was that person that just kept bringing it up just very subtle. Don't be forceful and like every time you see somebody, that's all you talk about, but just drop little seeds or buy a book and hand them a book and say, you got to read this book. Look at the title, Constellations. It's an awesome title. You can't, like lure somebody in with that. I really do like the title. I think that's kind of smart.
Appreciate that.
We were conned with these things.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
Yeah. They used them against us.
Yeah.
San Francisco.
Yeah. No,
thank you guys. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off if I was cutting
you
you
off.
off.
No, you're good. I was trying to locate something here, but I'm having a hard time finding it. So
yeah. If you guys have any questions in the chat too, ask away about the book. If you have any questions about his book, about our book, anything, it could be biblical, whatever, ask away, man. Feel free to ask questions. If anyone here is new to this platform, this ministry, always feel free to ask questions. And if people are mean to you for the questions you ask, I try to warn them. And if people are really, really mean, like trolls coming back constantly, I will ban them. I don't like banning people. I like to give everyone multiple chances, but I don't like this place to be a place of just back and forth battling and anger and hate and all of that. I like it to be somewhere where people go to get away from the crazy stuff and hang out with us crazy people, even if you don't believe the way we do. I have people that are like, I don't believe what you do about the world, but I love what you're doing, and they stick around, and that's okay. I like that. You don't have to believe that the world is flat and stationary to hang out here. That's why one of the reasons why I changed the name of our channel was I didn't want people to think, oh, well, I don't believe that, I can't hang out here. Founded, it was created, it was established. It's here. The Father made it. Whether you believe it's a sphere or flat, you are welcome.
Yeah, Josh, I don't think a lot of people realize that, us believing what we do, we once believed what they believe.
Yeah.
It wasn't until we looked into it. And in my case, I was looking into it to try to prove that people that thought like we do now were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I have Rob Skiba to thank for my journey down this road. I was watching him on a lot of his Nephilim topics, which are amazing.
Yeah.
And he said something about the earth being flat, and I was like, oh no, not this guy too. I thought I found someone who I could listen to and learn from. He's crazy. And I just kind of shut it down from that, and then kept coming back little by little until I said, okay, I'm going to look into it and I'm going to prove that I'm right so I can feel better. Yeah. And I think you know how that story goes. You find out that you weren't right. And it is a humbling experience to realize that something that you have been taught and something you've believed for your entire life has played into your entertainment, into your toys as a child. When those things turn out to be false, it really will. It's a humbling experience. And then it makes you hungry. You keep digging and you keep digging and you find out how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I would like to see how many hours, like some of us have logged on research. Like when I was at the meetup, you see people walking around, even while they're there, they're listening to like other videos and still learning while they're there. Like people just constantly learning in it. And my favorite part about it is I had asked the Father to wake me up just to like stop. I wanted to stop being lukewarm. I just felt like I wasn't even, I was probably more cold than I was lukewarm. I just kind of felt like I was just like a fish in a tank, not really doing much, just kind of taking up space, and when he woke me up, and this topic here just ignites a fire to get back into the Bible and try to prove it, and start looking at it like a science book, like there's all these things. We put the word law, like Newton's laws, and we name all these things, all these different people's laws, but everything operates by the Father's law, like the clouds weighing billions of pounds just floating above us, and the perfect cycle, all these things that work together perfectly. He set those things in motion. It wasn't an explosion that caused this perfect synchronized motion of this moon that's spherical, rotating around another ball that's rotating perfectly with all these different precise accuracies and never slowing down, just kind of going the same. Like that just is like, to me, how did we look at that and think of, or how does anybody look at that and think that was an explosion that created all those lights that have just been there for thousands of years as we've whizzed around through here? It's definitely one of those things that you have to merge science with the spiritual, the truth that this stuff was made and put in motion by a power. Even the things on a molecular level with our DNA, with our cells, that stuff is in motion. There are things you can animate, these little parts moving around inside the cell, but then you have to all of a sudden give all these little parts brains or something because they're carrying out these really insane, complicated jobs. And even in the animations, I'm sitting there watching going, how would it do that? How would these spindle fibers shoot out, attach? How would DNA just replicate and do all these things? Like, I can't even like hold a stack of cords without them getting tangled. And you have all these billions of letters and codes in your DNA doing all these things. Like, it's just so complex. On the microscopic and the macroscopic levels, it's very, very complex. And once you start to appreciate that, it really makes science more interesting. I think that's why so many people are now interested in science, even though this movement seems like it's an anti-science movement. I've seen more science in the last 6 or 7 years than I've seen in all my school and studies combined. I mean, total.
Oh yeah.
By far.
Well, I mean, if you follow the scientific theory that nothing became nothing, which eventually became more nothing, and that nothing became something, and then exploded into everything that is, it's not so overwhelming anymore. It's really, and I think that's why people use that model, because it oversimplifies. We can't explain the mind of God in our human knowledge and our human vocabulary. So we create this, I say grand tale. It takes more faith to believe in those things than it does to believe in the scripture. Mm-hmm. But I think that's why so many people gravitate to that so quickly, because it's a ready explanation.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable to think outside of that.
Definitely. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting caught up on comments, making sure I'm not missing any questions here. So yeah,
I'm trying to look at them.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to ask, and you might want to put them in all caps so we'll see them. They'll stand out. Questions about the book, questions about anything. We're here to hang out, have fun, and promote another brother, a local brother. For those of you that are joining in late, Randy, let me go back so I can put his website up. There's his website. It's in the description. You don't have to like type it up and do all that. You can just copy and paste it. There is all the chapters of the book right there. Covers pretty much everything with this movement. A lot of the things that would take someone months to research, they can read it. And how long do you think it would take an avid reader to read this book if they were?
It's a short read. It's pretty conversational. I would say that you could read the book in 2 hours if you want to sit down and read it from cover to cover.
Yeah.
Digging in, and taking notes and doing deeper research. You can spend as much time as you want to with it, but just to do a read through, probably in 2 hours or less.
How many pages is it? I can't remember.
I think it's just over 140 pages. Okay. 142, something like that. I tried to keep both of the books very short, very conversational, easy to read. I didn't want to use a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo, except when I'm explaining the scientific mumbo jumbo. It's there's only one way to do that, but I wanted to keep my portions of it just very easy to read. For anybody. I've gotten a lot of reviews that say that it was such an easy book to read, and that it's probably one of the better books, especially for somebody that is new to it. And I thank God for that input, because that's what I wanted to do when I wrote it. I wanted to write an entry level, hey, check this out, and then let's learn some biblical truth together. And thankfully that seems to be what it's doing.
Yeah. That's awesome. So have you sold quite a few copies already, or how's that going? Is there a way?
I have been blessed to sell a few hundred copies so far.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah,
that God's using me to get out truth about His creation, because I think when we look in Scripture and we see how important the creation is to the Father, we should definitely be doing everything that we can to make sure that fellow believers and non-believers alike have a strong understanding of what that creation is. And I kind of took this book to be my mission for a while. I've got some other projects going, but this is definitely the one that, I've put a lot more time into.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine how much time, because you have a full-time job and you do this on the side. And so I can relate to that. It's tough doing things, especially when this is like your passion. Cause I know me, like I could set work, study, do live hangouts, talk about the Bible, talk about creation all the time. I would love to do this for a living. So when you're at your day job, it's probably consumes your mind. I know that's how it is with me. It's one of the things. It's hard. There's no like off switch. It's very hard to turn that off. As soon as you're not preoccupied with something, my mind's like, I want to study this. I want to look into that. I want to talk about this or work on a video. And because there's so many different things popping up in the media right now. I mean, that planet killer asteroid just popped up in the news about a week ago.
Oh yeah.
The things that play into the deceptions we've been warning people about are happening. There's always talks of the aliens and the UFOs, and NASA's putting together a team to do this and investigate the UFOs now. Like there's all this stuff happening, and it is just like luring people in. And it's like, man, we can't, it's hard to warn people fast enough because we know these deceptions are coming. We know prophecies are going to come true. We know where things are heading, but we just feel like we need to wake as many as we can while we can.
Absolutely. If we can get enough people awake to the truth about where we live, then it will automatically help them to overcome the false narrative of an alien invasion, or alien seeders, as the Ancient Alien show likes to try to push. Having a firm understanding of where we really are and what God really created, you can just look at those things and laugh them off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's going to be a great deception surrounding that in the very near future, I'm afraid.
And I think it'll look good, though. I think the deception will be, I feel like it's just something they've been working on for so long that it's going to be good enough to probably even deceive people on our side, that are like, well, maybe, like, it just seems like I don't put limits on how deceptive the enemy can be. Anything that discredits the Father's word is a deception. It's just the way we have to look at it. If it goes against his word one bit, not real. If it doesn't line up with prophecy, it's not it. This is a false light, or it's a false system they're giving us. If it would have been like that from the beginning, we wouldn't have grown up believing the stuff we believed about the world. For sure.
It's true. Yeah, you're right.
Somebody asked here, whatever happened to Friend of Yahweh? He was doing a video. Yeah, I don't know. That was a while back. I was looking forward to that too. Maybe he didn't get enough funding. I know he was trying to fund for that. But that channel, Friend of Yahweh, is a really good at making videos and has like a fraction of the subscribers he should. He's an actor. Like this guy can act better than Hollywood actors, and he just makes videos for the true earth. And so it's really cool to see them, but it's sad to see that they don't get the following they should. I tried sharing one on one of those other platforms, and it got in trouble for like abusive language. And I'm thinking, what? He was just pretending to be a crisis actor. It's called The Ultimate Crisis Actor. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. And I got in trouble for it. And I thought, man, how is that against community guidelines? He's literally acting. He's not insulting anyone. I mean, he's kind of making fun of the, modern day crisis actors. But yeah, he's a good channel to check out. I wished I knew this was going to happen. I would have linked it in the description, but I think it's either, is it Friend of Yahweh or Friends of Yahweh? I think it's Friend. I think they're right. Pretty good channel to check out.
I'll have to look into that one. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good one. I need to give him a shout out. I'd love to have him on. Like his acting and videos are so good. I mean, you'll be laughing if you haven't binge watched a channel. He's one you could binge watch with some good stuff.
Yeah. Somebody said that they had been watching Sean and Wes binging their content recently. They're always a good channel to check out. West Blaze Music and Kingdom in Context, they do some good stuff as well on this topic as well as others.
Yeah. You said Kingdom in Context?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I got to meet him. I got to meet him at Flattoberfest, Sean. That's the main reason. That's one of the main reasons I went, and so it was exciting. I got to eat dinner with him in person, and so it's kind of like I was like the fanboy there, like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. And but he's just so calm. It's hard to like freak out in front of him because he's just such a cool, kind of calm, collective guy. And that was an interesting experience because I met him and we went to this steakhouse. We just randomly picked a steakhouse, and we get there, and the menu, like the people there, we're the only ones in line that aren't wearing a tuxedo or like a wedding dress or something. Like I was like, oh my goodness, look at all these people dressed up. My dad goes, did anyone look at the menu price? And I said, no. So my pulse is racing. I'm nervous. I'm like, what are we getting into? I can't afford this. And we sit down, we're eating. And of course the menu, it's like $50 for a little, 8-ounce elk, steak over here. So it's like all this stuff is like way too fancy and expensive. And I'm trying to act like, yeah, it's okay. No big deal. And so we're sitting there, and the whole time I'm thinking about this bill, and the server comes, and this guy, as I'm doing this guy walks up, and he's like, Sean, and then he looked at me and he's like, Josh, and I look over and I'm like, hey, and he's like, man, you guys' work has blessed me, and he's like, my name's Bill, and he came a long way. He was actually coming to the event and just happened to be at the same steakhouse, and so he shook our hands, and he walks off. And later on, the server comes up and goes, this has never happened here. He said, somebody just comped your entire table. And so,
Wow.
oh, look at that. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is like a major blessing, because I was totally freaking out. I knew that as soon as I swiped my credit card, I was going to get a phone call like from my wife, like, what did you do? Like,
who stole your card?
Take out a loan. I wanted to eat at this nice place and impress Sean. Yeah, there's I thought I clicked on there he is. Back to the Covenant.
Back to the Covenant.
He's the one that was there with me. Let me pull up his picture. Hold on. There he is.
There he is.
There you are, bro. Yeah, we had a fun trip. Me, him, and my dad, we drove down together. Got a little rental car and made the trip. So much fun. If you don't get a chance to go to a meetup like that, yeah, a lot of people were like, it's a bunch of new age people and all this stuff. And yes, there's a mix of people, but we need to flood those places with light. If you're and really bring people to the word. If you think people are lost, some people need a physician, like the beloved son said, when he was hanging out with people and they were judging him, it's basically, how did he word that? He was sitting with the sinners. He said, something about the physician being, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the verse. I don't want to butcher it, but
say being on the spot. It's hard to recall word for word, isn't it?
Word for word how it goes, but yeah, basically, people that go to a doctor are sick. He was there to help people that are sick, people that are lost. After those lost sheep, we're going after people that need to see the Father's love. They need to see that the truth that we are falling into isn't because of some ancient, aliens or anything like that. Whatever they're into, whatever sort of new age thing they're into, we need to really fellowship with them. And a lot of those people are humble people. They're just getting misguided. So we need to make sure we're sending people the right direction.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I had a good time I get to see Sean's presentation on Babylon, and it was amazing. He wrapped up like 38 hours worth of material into I think 2.5 hours maybe.
Yeah, have you watched his Babylon series?
I didn't finish it.
Channel?
I started it,
oh, man.
and I'm glad I didn't finish it, because it was nice to watch and see where it was going. Kind of get the Cliff Notes version and just be in shock, because I didn't know where it was going. I had no clue where it was going to end up, and I was just it was kind of like watching a movie. I was kind of glad that I had a lot going on and I never got to finish it. And now if I go back and watch it, I'll know where it's going, but I could see the more detailed version of how he came to his conclusion.
It's incredible stuff. It's a great series.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shines some light.
Yeah.
In places. So.
Yeah. FE Nation was there. He was at the meetup. He's a good guy. He's come to a couple of our gatherings. I think it was the third time I've seen him. Big man. I call him Braveheart.
Is that the guy that got up and spoke?
Yeah. The one that worked at NASA. I don't want to give out his secret identity because I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, he's funny. He's a funny guy. Physician, heal thyself. Yeah. So how is Brother Matt? How is Matt doing? I haven't heard from him. I need to reach out to him. See what's going on with my bro at Back to the Covenant. Oh yeah, Matt's channel, Back to the Covenant. It's on the cloth here. You can see it. That's the name of his channel. I don't know if I linked it in the description though, but you can find it. Just look up Back to the Covenant. He's the one that let me co-author a book with him. He did all but one chapter, and I also did the back cover. So I take full credit for a lot of that stuff. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Back to the Covenant, he said. Yeah, Matt is great. Wait, is this Candace? Is this the wife? Who's doing this? Who's on the account? But yeah. So yeah, did you have anything you wanted to add about the book or anything you got coming up? I know you probably have other projects going on right now.
I do. I'm actually trying to branch out into the fiction side of things, because God knows there's plenty of fiction out there to lead astray. There's a lot of fiction that's not family friendly, and I'm trying to break into the fiction market and bring along the truths that I've written about in previous books, in a family friendly way that doesn't come across as preachy. Because a lot of Christian content, I mean, you automatically think, and it's sad, but we automatically think cheesy or preachy when we hear Christian movie or Christian book, just because of the way a lot of things are handled. So I'm trying to give us a good, clean alternative that doesn't come across that way, but that plants seed as the reader reads on and might spark them to ask some questions. So I've got, hopefully, first quarter of next year, the prequel will be out. It's on the background behind me. Someone said my background was backwards earlier. Is it showing up right now?
Let me remove this and see. I think. Oh yeah, it kind of is flipped, I think.
It's backwards.
But I can read backwards.
Well, how's that? I mirrored the screen. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that might be what it is. I didn't even notice. I can't really see it. It's like a small. It's small on my end.
We'll see it in the playback, and I'll beat myself up for it later. But the two books, the images, they are on my website. So if somebody goes and checks that out, there's more information to come on those real soon, I hope.
Yeah, and somebody asked a question. They said, could y'all talk about Lifting the Veil for a second? That's another one of his books. I think you can find it from the website, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got a picture of the website, it looks like, up there now, where you can actually order from the website.
Yeah, you would just click order right there on the book when you're once you're on the website. Let me find it there on this website that's in the description. You can order it there. And I'm assuming I didn't put the table of contents for that book on there, but yeah, what all does it cover?
It covers a lot of what you would expect, a conspiracy style writing to cover. I hate conspiracy theory because most of them are facts. I try to break down how from the very beginning, even in the Garden of Eden, the lies that Satan told Eve are still the same lies he's telling us today. And it's just taken a form throughout the timeline. I cover the Illuminati. I hate to say the word Illuminati. I don't want to get us shut down, but it's not what people think it is. It's not an individual. It's not Beyonce. It is an organization that may be a little different than what most people think. I cover your fashion industry. I cover the entertainment industry, the music industry. I even have a chapter devoted to yoga. I've got a chapter on the Roman Catholic Church. I have a chapter on Freemasonry. I have a chapter on the founding of America. So I really cover a lot of bases there to show you who and what's at work behind the scenes around us every day. And again, I tackle it from a biblical worldview, but I also provide proof, historical record, and proof to back up what I'm saying from a secular view as well.
Nice. Did that answer the question? Was it Josh? Yeah, Josh was asking. Josh from the VI. I think it did.
Got too many screens in front of me. I can't keep up with it.
Someone said, is Trump part of the Illuminati? I know that a lot of people were praying for that guy, and I'm thinking, you know what? Somebody can be, and the Father can still use them. Pray for your enemy aspect. I always pray for people, even if I look at somebody like that as someone I don't trust. Someone who's going along with the plan, with the Space Force and all that stuff. Obviously, when you're in that presidential role, you have to become like a puppet, and unless the Father just puts his angels over you and lets you do things, that go against the grain.
Right.
But yeah, that's a good
He
question.
did a lot of things against the grain, but
No.
things like the Space Force and everything, it makes you realize that you're looking at two wings of the same bird.
Yeah.
And I get in a lot of trouble for saying that, but
Yeah. Well, it is interesting that you say that, because my wife was reading the book of Enoch and looking at one of the parables, and when it was relating to the Nephilim, the Watchers, when they had those 3 races of giants, 2 were represented by these animals, and it just happened to be a donkey and an elephant that represented the what eventually became unclean spirits, but the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen. And I thought,
very
interesting
interesting.
that we have the 2 representations of the classes out of the 3 classes of demons we have as our political parties. And
Yeah.
not only that, there used to be an I found this out. I didn't even know this, an anti-Masonic party. They were literally
Really?
against the Masons. There was a party in, like, I think the late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. I don't know if it went that long. It got shut down pretty quick, I'm sure. But
I'm
that's what they
sure.
were. They were against that power structure. They saw this power structure growing and were like, hey, we don't need to have that. And so they were literally this other party called the Anti-Masonics. Wow.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that about the donkey and the elephant, because it jogged my memory. Back to lifting the veil, it actually has an index of lots of signs and symbols, and it breaks down what they are, because
Yeah.
when you know these things and you go shopping anywhere, you will see that you are constantly surrounded by the new age and the occult, even in things that you didn't realize that's what they meant. So I tried to give a pretty extensive breakdown of some common symbols that some of them everyone knows. A majority of them are probably things that you're not very familiar with. So that is in there. I do talk a lot about, what's going on behind the scenes that we may not be aware of. But the point is to try to wake people up to what is going on, because once you know the scheme and you know the game, then you can play against it rather than being played by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Be wise as serpents. And it's tough because when you're reading stuff sometimes and looking into that, you're seeing things that have caused so many people to stumble and fall. It's going to look good. And so you have to be careful. Like, I was looking into lawlessness, and it's going to happen. It was prophesied it's going to happen. And when you look at a lot of the people in the game and a lot of the evil people today, they were influenced by Aleister Crowley, who wrote a book called The Book of the Law. And it tries to sound very peaceful and loving. It's spoken by these demons, and that's how they lure people in. They don't lure them in with, you want to come and be dark and do dark things. They try to lure people in like, there's no consequences. Like, do as thou wilt, the whole of the law, which is the definition of lawlessness, doing whatever you want. And so that lures people in. They're like, yeah, I could do that. I want to do that. And one of the demons actually calls himself the priest of infinite space. And I thought, wow. And he refers to himself as infinite space and the infinite stars. Like, they're pushing that lie onto their followers. They don't even want their followers to believe in the firmament. I think a lot of times we imagine they do believe it, but I think the really deep ones that are deep into that stuff, they don't really know about it. Only the ones that need to know about it would know about it, because they want people to, even their own, to think, oh, there's no father that's really close watching over, seeing what we do. There's infinite space, and so it's really intriguing to see how they've brought so many people in to their side. And that's probably, one of their things that they use is, there's just no consequences. There's no other God here that's going to do anything. Just do what you want. So I only read a couple pages, and I was like, I'm not going to read any more of this. It is so dark. The things that they say later on, as you read, where is it? One of the things, let me see if I can find a little quote. I got it pulled up on my screen. It said, because he called it, Aleister Crowley calls this the Eon of Horus. And this ties into that, a lot of stuff we've talked about with Babylon and Egypt. Those two are kind of like merged. And, I'm going to do a video about this, because it's some really deep stuff that ties into the lawlessness we're starting to experience, where it's, just do whatever you want and don't judge, like, don't judge me. I can do whatever gender or whatever you want to be. You can just do anything. And that's kind of a lot of this stems from that Aleister Crowleyism. But when that demon was speaking, let me see. I think I missed it again. He said, "With my hawk's head." If you've ever seen an image of Horus with the little beak, it says, "With my hawk's head, I peck at the eyes of Jesus as he hangs upon the cross." And so these demons, they try to like build themselves up as if they have this power, when in reality, the events of the cross was like that was their downfall. They knew their time was limited when they talked to the Messiah anyways. It wasn't like they had some authority over him. They were like, "Don't punish us before our time." Like they know a lot more than we knew about them, or than we knew about their future, back when we were reading the Bible, thinking that it was just, there was the devil and that was it, before we knew all about the unclean spirits, who they were, where they came from, why they're so angry, why they're wreaking havoc and doing the things they're doing. But yeah, it's interesting stuff. It's a whole other video in itself, and I want to tie that together because lawlessness is here.
Yes, sir.
Questions. What happened to Terry? Yeah, something happened. Okay, somebody's asking what happened to Terry. His channel is gone. Something happened. Something weird. I don't know. I think his channel got hacked. From what I heard, I don't know the details, and I don't want to gossip, but not good. Not good. Don't know if he'll be back on. I think he's still on Facebook though. Yeah, someone said, Josh said the Firmament videos were huge. Yeah, the Firmament, that footage was huge to me. I mean, that stuff just, when you're looking for proof of this Firmament, you're like, how has no one filmed it? And then you find out they have. And now the original footage is taking down. It's scrubbed from that YouTube channel, the Nova, one of the biggest science channels out there, and on TV as well for PBS. They took the video down because our original video that was going mega viral had like 300 and something thousand views within it seemed like a couple weeks. I could be wrong on my timeline, and it just got taken down due to copyright. And then all of a sudden it came back like last year. It comes back and I see it and I'm like, wait, that's my original. How am I seeing it? And I went back to the Nova video that I'd linked in the description, and it said this video is set to private. Like they just took it down. I don't know why they would hide something that they literally risked their lives flying above a storm to film. And they filmed a phenomenon that's mentioned in the book, of Enoch, that talks about stars, some of them rising up to become lightning, but they don't lose their form. That sounded so science fiction. You talked about science fiction. I thought that is science fiction. And then I'm like, because I'm skeptical of things. I'm going like, surely if Enoch says that, that's where I'm like, this book may not be too credible. Then you see the lightning sprites and you see what happens, and you're like, that's what I just read about. And then you see the waves move across the firmament. Man, it's powerful. That's why I like that you started your book out with the firmament up front.
Oh yeah.
To get people thinking about it, to get rid of that false imagery right away.
I mean, when you break down the word firmament, there's only one thing that it can mean.
Yeah.
I mean, it means the same thing in Hebrew, Greek. It means the same thing in Latin. I mean, it just means that solid, firm divider, that barrier that's there. And when you look at it that way and you just believe the words of scripture that you're reading for what they say, we run into a big stumbling block just a few verses in to the first chapter of the entire Bible. And until we can address that and realize what that is, that's just the start of all of the things that don't make a lot of sense unless you do have a clear understanding of how God created this thing.
Yeah. So someone, I just lost their comment. They said, just got here. What's this video about? The firmament? No, we started talking about the firmament, but it's about a book. We're trying to promote a book of a local brother, Randy Smith. He's written a couple books and has a few more in the works. I'll see if I can pull that back. There it is. CONstellations. Let me see if I can. CONstellations. I found a bigger version. There you go. That's not his cover. I made that image there myself, trying to make one that would fit in a slide.
Looks good.
But yeah, Constellations, Biblical Cosmology, Why It Matters. That's the book by Randy Smith. And you can find it in the description, that the person who just jumped in. I don't know why your comment seemed to have vanished. Oh, there it is. Just got here. So yeah, that was to answer your question, Sugarstick07. Hope that helped. And then Matt was saying chapter 80 is where it's at, the heliocentric model prophecy. Yeah, I found that one night listening to the Bible or listening to Enoch through audio. I think it was the Flat Water FWFE. They may have changed their name. Back then it was Flat Water, Flat Earth. And he does audio versions of Enoch and some of the other books. And I'm listening to it and I'm falling asleep. And I'm like, and I hear that prophecy about the globe model. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm awake now. Let me write this down. Let me see where I'm at on this video. And that's where that prophecy comes in. And I was like, man, that's talking about the planets, like, wow, they called them the chiefs of the stars back then. And they're going to be used to deceive mankind. I'm like, here we are. We've lost our understandings of what they are. We think the sun is a small star. It's like a weak, pathetic little star, and that the stars are giant suns. And how twisted how they twisted the truth was. It's actually really, it's kind of impressive, when you first figure out how much they've lied. I think I sat back on my couch once I found out that NASA was lying, and I started seeing all those proofs. I was like, wow, they did a good job. I mean, I watched the Apollo 13 movie and was almost in tears. It's like they really get you with the emotions. And they just had a Dude Perfect did their little space trip. Did you see that video?
I don't believe I did.
Yeah.
No.
Everybody's like, oh, what about this? It debunks everything. And it's like they've already done this same trick several times. And it's not like, oh, the rocket's fake. No, they're literally sending people as high as we know they can, 60 plus miles. And then they're coming back down and landing near where they took off. Of course they can do that.
Which shouldn't be possible.
Yeah. So, yeah. So the world's not moving. They're at least proving that. So if it's a ball, it's stationary, and they're able to go up and just land same place. And even the little rocket going down, they don't account for any Coriolis effect or anything. I mean, it's just like, and it lands, straight up. And it has that one little thruster in the middle. It just looks impossible, but it's quite impressive if they could do it. What's the name of the Dude Perfect video? I think you could probably go on YouTube and just type in Dude Perfect goes to space, because everybody was freaking out about it. Like they thought that, what now, flat earthers? But you can see the curvature out the window, and it's like this, and they move the camera and you can see it flattening out. Like it just totally changes. It's obvious fisheye lens, and they're in a dome, so their windows are round as it is. But yeah, the first thing they say when they get to the ground is, so was it flat? Nope, it's round. Huh, I can verify it. I saw it, and they have millions of followers. And so
somebody needs to be there to ask them, is it round or is it concave? Because, the surface of the Earth's in constant flux, according to the footage. Yeah. Concave, convex, flat, and everything in between. So
why is it so bendy? I could have been like, could you explain when it started to uncurve itself? Like, that was amazing. Like, what is our world made of? Is it turning into a pear? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. The pear-shaped Earth.
Pear-shaped, yeah. I know, yeah. And that's what the fisheye lens, if you've ever seen the footage, if anybody watching is skeptical still, and you've seen that horizon footage, SpaceX does it a lot, where the horizon bends both directions. It'll be concave, then it's convex, and it goes back and forth. That's only possible with a flat line. I can take a flat line and bend it both ways with a fisheye lens, but a previously curved line, you can bend it, and I even can make it a little concave in the middle, but the outer edges are still curved. And so it's when I did that, the first time I did that, I was like, man, I got the results instantly that proved to me that we're looking at a flat horizon, and they've just been using a fisheye or wide angle lens the whole time.
Yeah.
JWTV. I'm sorry, I'm reading comments too. Well, I agree with the evidence that supports a flat Earth. I do appreciate you letting me still be a part of the group here on this channel. Yeah, I know it's all, that's what I love about this. That we are blessed to have humble enough people that are asking questions, or maybe they don't align their beliefs exactly with us. That's okay. Don't get bent out of shape. It is hard. I don't think I can find anybody on the internet that believes exactly the way I do. But there's some people I respect because of how much they study and their passion and their heart. But the ones that the Messiah tells us are the greatest in the kingdom of heaven are the ones that are humble. And so try to show that when you're dealing with people, even if you're trying to debunk us or put us in the, teach us a lesson, be humble about it. I'm always willing to look into evidence. And so far, for the last 6.5 years that I've been doing this, the evidence I find proves beyond a shadow of doubt, the surface of water is flat. and this world is not moving.
Absolutely. That's been the conclusion that I've reached. Try as I might to reach something else. You know, I was a huge Star Trek, Star Wars person. I wanted to believe one day I was going to be on a starship. You know, like growing up, everything was so amazing to me, and then to come to the knowledge that that's just not the way it is. Now, I still enjoy my entertainment. I'll still watch Star Trek from time to time, but I enjoy it just for what it is. It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
Not trying to figure out how they're moving in space in a vacuum using thrusters. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah.
But it's always good entertainment.
The questions we never asked. I remember my science teacher telling me those movies are fake because you know it's not scientific because it would be silent. They'd be in a vacuum.
Yes.
And I was like, no, I want to hear the lasers. It would be so boring without the laser sounds and the explosion sounds. But yeah, we got Ron Hagberg in the audience. This guy is awesome. He's the one that helped scope out our footage that we shot when we were at the beach. I've got it. I've made it public again on the channel because I feel like he was right in what we're seeing. But I kind of like somebody commented and had me doubting, and I didn't want to be misleading. But I feel like he was right. I haven't had a chance to go and explore that stuff myself, but I highly respect this man. He's really wise and thorough with his research and with everything. And he'll even call us out if I was to put up a video and be like, this is what stars look like. He'd be like, it's out of focus. Adjust your focus. Here's how you do it. You know, to make sure you're sending accurate information. He doesn't want us to look bad, you know, and so he lives out next to some flat water near the coast. So we've got some really good far, you know, distant, you know, I guess long distance, not far distance, long distance footage. And he helped me find out what I was most likely seeing. So that video's on there somewhere on our channel. When you scroll down, almost 40 miles of flat water. Yeah, he said we can prove it next time. Maybe coming there. Let me see. I'm trying to think of where we're going for our next trip around the Christmas time. We'll be going to Panama. My wife likes to get away now when we go over the Christmas time when all the madness is going on. Let's see. I asked her where we were going. Yeah, we're going to Panama. Yeah, we're going to Panama around that time. Not sure the dates yet, but it'd be cool to have a one-day meetup while we were there. See everybody in that area. Oh, he's leaving. He's going to watch Dude Perfect nonsense. Oh my God.
All right. I'll remember that.
He's going to become a Glober. He's going to become a Glober. It's it. We're done. We're done, Matt. We're done. Yeah. I watched it. It's there's over 100. I think it was David Weiss put a video up of it. There's like 100 and something cuts from launch to where they land. It's like, wow,
looks like
100.
Looks like somebody's asking how much the book cost.
Yes, good question. I didn't think to ask that.
There's two versions of it. $14.99 for just the standard paperback, and then there's a deluxe study edition for those that like to take notes and write in the book. That comes with line note pages at the end of each chapter, and it's $17.99.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome.
So,
yeah, we just have Bob from Globebusters join in, guys. I wanted to meet him. Somebody said he's going to be at Flattoberfest. I almost got mad and ran out when I didn't see him. I was looking for him the whole time. So it's heartbroken. Didn't get to meet you. Hopefully one day I can next time we go that way. Maybe next year. Don't know what happened. I guess if you're a celebrity, going into large crowds is probably intimidating or makes you claustrophobic. I don't know. Yeah, it was fun. I got to meet a lot of cool people. I got to see David Weiss in person. That seems unreal because you see him in so many different videos.
Oh yeah.
And there he is in person. I'm like, oh, there's the guy that I've seen a billion times in videos. And it's very, very cool experience to see the people that we always see behind the screen here. Yep. What up, Globebusters? Yeah. It'd be fun to be a Globebuster just because as a kid, I really liked the Ghostbusters and I never could be one. And now that I know they're demons, I can't. So yeah, that'd be cool. I just don't have the scientific lingo like those guys. They're so smart. My goodness. I try to break stuff down and keep it simple. Oh, he said he was there for a short time. Man, I hate that. You weren't feeling good, man. A lot of people not feeling good. It's that time. It's weird that we have our seasons of sickness when we have seasons of pumping people full of sugar. You know, it's like the Halloween, the Christmas, like every time we pump people full of sugar, we have a flu season or a cold, like everybody's sick. It's like I think sugar really weakens our immunity from what I'm experiencing kind of through trial and error. Every time we load our kids up with sugar, somebody gets sick.
Well, they say that sugar feeds viruses.
Yeah.
So,
It seems like your immune system is fighting, and then you have sugar, and it's like, oh, I'm going to relax now.
right.
That's what it feels like. But yeah. Glad that Bob is feeling better. I hope you're feeling better. You doing better, big bro? Would have loved to meet you. That'd have been awesome. Hopefully they have another one next year. I know those things wear you out when you're having a gathering, even if like the one we had that was like 2 days, nothing like Flattoberfest, but it was, I was anticipating 200 people, and kind of fortunately it ended up being closer to 100 coming and going. And that was a lot. I could not have imagined orchestrating anything larger. Concave Earth model, yeah. But yeah, I don't want to keep people too late. I am just blessed to have those of you here. Again, we got some really cool news coming up in the future. If you have any more questions for my brother Randy over here, Randy Smith, him and his books, especially the one we're looking at today, Biblical Cosmology, or Constellations, Biblical Cosmology, why it matters. A lot of people ask that question. That's the first thing they say is, why would it matter? And it does matter. It's all about the deceptions that are coming, the truth about where we come from. It's all there. It really matters. If you want to know why you're here and not just some meaningless existence, going to your job, clocking in, clocking out, trying to retire so that you can sit around and do nothing. There's such a far greater purpose that we're here, and that's what we're finding out. That's why it's really important. Do you have anything to add to why it matters? And
Yeah,
summary?
I actually put a chapter in the book of why I believe it matters. And I mean, obviously, one of the big reasons to me why it matters is because God says it matters. But I believe it can impact the world around us as well. A lot of people believe what they believe based on a heliocentric model. I have heard atheists personally say to me that how can I believe the Bible when they can't even get the beginning part of it correct?
Wow.
Because even they understand that scriptures are a flat earth book, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And they're like, if the beginning of it's not even correct, why would I believe anything else that it says? So I know there's testimony after testimony of people who were once atheist or agnostic that once they come to the truth of biblical cosmology, that is what led them to put themselves in a position to begin to develop that relationship with Christ and actually get their lives straightened out. So that's another reason why it's important. I go into some other details as well, linking it back to some of the things from my first book, Lifting the Veil. It matters on so many levels. We always get focused on, one or two things of this is why we've got to drive this point home. But the truth is it's going to speak to everyone just a little differently. And I have found myself in unique situations to where if I didn't have the knowledge from the stuff that I've researched, I wouldn't have been equipped to be able to witness properly or answer certain questions that I've been asked. And I just thank God for putting these things on me and giving me this burden to be able to talk to the people that ask crazy questions that, most churches or pastors are going to think, well, this person's crazy. They're just trying to they're just trying to throw something at me to get me to trip up. Mm-hmm. I've been placed in a position to where I can at least field those answers and put them on the right track to learning more. And I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
I wanted to say another thing about the book real quick. Like I said, I talk about the biblical things in the beginning of it, but when you get past that middle point, I believe chapter 5 is the flood. And that was probably my favorite chapter to write just because of the overwhelming scriptural evidence. But when you start getting into the NASA and the NASA continued chapters, some really interesting information in there, factual, historical information pulled from, validated sources. I think that opens up your eyes to a lot of things as well, especially if you're newer to flat Earth. So that's definitely something to check out. If you get the book, read all of it, but pay real close attention to chapters 9 and 10 as it really breaks down the lies that were fed.
Yeah. And is this a book that you think is better for people who are new, or is it better for people who are experienced, or is it kind of like one size fits all?
I've honestly gotten feedback both ways. Matt from Back to the Covenant, he said when he read it, he was thinking that, is he really going to tell me anything I don't already know? You know, because he's
Yeah.
pretty experienced. He's been in
Yeah.
this a while, and he's like, and sure enough, by the end of the book, there were 3 or 4 things that I didn't know. So I think it can speak to people who are already familiar with the topic, but I have gotten a lot of feedback of people who are new or skeptical that have read it, and it has been a deciding factor for them. So I think it works both ways, but maybe leans more towards the newer people.
Yeah, that's good. Because see, that's who I always feel led to reach, is the people who are new, who are asking questions, because you run into them all the time, and it's hard to feed them everything. And this, having a outline and a way of just kind of summarizing and packing everything in, it helps. To me, it's
Oh, yeah.
it's easier than giving them a bunch of links, because it's easy to get lost in all these links and videos, and putting it in a book, having pictures, having, everything broke down. And that's kind of like what we did with our book. Me and Matt was the same type of thing, talking about the firmament, who they are, why they lie, the important questions that people ask. Well, why would they lie? Who are they? Who are you talking about? Is it the Illuminati? Is it the Jesuits? Who is it? There's so many different players, and it's a lot.
Right.
So when you summarize it and you go back from the very beginning where this stuff happened, it does a lot of justice. It gets people to look at who these unclean spirits are, why they would lie, and
Absolutely.
how they've been able to pull this stuff off, because mankind could not do this on their own. There's no way. They're not wise enough. We don't
No.
live long enough to figure this stuff out and deceive people the ways that we have been deceived.
We like to think we're that smart, but
Yeah.
we're not. Sadly, we're just not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Rob Skiba, real quick, always brought out a good point about how we were horse and buggy for so long.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point in history, just skyrocketed in knowledge and technology. And that point in history just happens to be when the sentence of the Watcher Angels would have been up. So I believe all this UFO stuff and all this alien stuff to be fallen angels and demonic entities. And then they're working with mankind again to go ahead and kind of push the envelope to repeat history. And I don't want to get too far into that on this video, because there's definitely another book in the pipeline that's going to explore the origins of the Nephilim, the Watchers, and how they have been masked throughout history as guides or extraterrestrial. So I'll get into that more in another book, but just food for thought in that area. I don't think it's mankind that has come up with a majority of this skyrocketed technology we have. I think we've had help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Somebody mentioned that same quote like years ago. Like, it's interesting that we've gone from that so fast, just from here we are with just the horse and buggy, and now we've got touchscreens. And it's been, in my lifetime alone, I mean, I've been alive since '83, and I've seen, we would use the little dial-up phones, or your
56K.
Yeah, I mean, they were calling the moon with land, they were Skyping the moon back then, and we're talking to them from a landline. But other than
a
that,
landline phone,
was pretty low. It was pretty low aside from that one little time.
We've zero delay.
We've since destroyed it, but other than that, yeah, it's gone. Technology has gone uphill, except for that one avenue of space travel.
I've been around since '82, and I remember, obviously playbacks watching it, but when I saw it, I thought, now how's he talking to the moon on the same kind of telephone mom and dad have sitting over there
with no delay?
With no delay. But we can't talk from state to state on the news networks with reporters without a 10, 15-second delay. So, I mean, it's the simple questions that a lot of people don't think to ask. It kind of just is common sense, but we've been taught not to trust our common sense.
Yeah. And the fact that all of the astronauts were good at keeping secrets, they were Masons except for one.
Oh, yeah.
And the one that wasn't, his dad was. And so it's like, well, man, how high level was his dad? and that's Neil Armstrong. He's the only one that allegedly wasn't. And so all of them being in the same club, what are the chances? You know, you got all these physical standards you have to go by, but then all of them meeting those, you know, extensive physical requirements and being a part of that club. I mean, the chances of that, if you look at the population, how big it is of people, and then how many people are in that club, that just, it's almost an impossibility unless they just thought, you know, hey, these people are good at keeping secrets and that's what they do for a living. Anyways, let's use them to do this. Like, man, I never knew that growing up. That's not something you're ever told.
Old Buzz has slipped up a couple of times and
yeah, he said we didn't go there.
Well, but
yeah, he said it again when somebody said, "What was the scariest part of your mission?" He said it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Yeah,
I'm like, he just said it again. They're like, "Oh,
He's
you're
like,
twisting his words." I think he's trying to tell us.
He's like, I could have been afraid. It could have been scary, but it didn't happen. It's like, okay. So.
Yeah, I think they're watching him. I'm surprised you never see like a red laser pointer end up on him. He's just, he must be really high level. Someone said, I'm in New Zealand. Is your book available as a download? It sounds perfect for our study group as I've just introduced them to biblical cosmology.
Yes, there is an ebook version available. And the ebook has color images as well as the links. You can just click them from the book and it will take you to the video that I have saved on my personal server so they can't take it down.
Wow. So. Nice. And I just found, my wife just brought me a copy of our book. I was trying to tell everybody how many pages it was earlier, but I could not remember. It's like 126, 127, about 127. Then it has some end notes. Pages, really thin, and the link to our book is also in the description for those of you who haven't seen it. There it is. Small little book, looks harmless, but it could do a lot of damage. Don't judge the book by its thinness. It's got covers a lot of things too. See if I can find the table of contents. You can see it. Probably can't see it. I doubt you can see it, but all that.
You can take my table of contents down.
Yeah,
it'll be bigger.
Heliocentric model. Oh, well, yeah, I could do that. Watch this. Let's see if I can remove that. Boom. Yeah. See if I can fit that in the screen now. It might.
Better.
Oh, wrong way. It's backwards on my end. Boom. Yeah, so you can screenshot that. But I think I shared a post, but I don't believe I did that. We have yet to go on. I've been wanting to wait for Matt to join me, and we'll talk about the book. No rush. We got to promote it a lot at the event. And
that's interesting. It looks like we each have a chapter about the ultimate truth.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. I have not read your book yet, I'll confess.
Yeah,
but,
no spoilers.
I'm curious to see if we wrote about the same thing there.
Yeah, well, I read it like in the car. Like, it's like, I was like, because Matt would send me chapters, but I was so busy, I didn't have time to read them. And I was like, okay, that's good. He's doing 2 chapters a day, and here I am doing 1 chapter a summer. And so I didn't even read it until after it was published, and I was already telling people, yeah, you should buy the book. And then I read it, and I was like, wow, he did a pretty good job. And my chapter's kind of boring without all the pictures, but I was wanting to cover the stuff we cover in our videos and summarize a lot of it into 1 chapter in terms of who they are. And I was going to do who they are and why they lie and make it 2 separate chapters. And he saw me struggling, and he goes, you want me to do the why they lie chapter? I was like, yes, please do. So he did. I was thankful for that.
There's a few reasons why they lie.
Yeah.
A lot of dollars, but
but it's hard when somebody puts you on the spot and like, why would they lie?
Oh, yeah.
You know, then it's like, let me get out my Bible and show you why. Like, you almost really have to explain where the fallen come from, where the demons, you know, come into play.
Yes.
Like, it takes people understanding all of that and understanding it's not just secret societies and people working at NASA. These are, you know, most people that work at NASA are good people. Most people that work at SpaceX are good people. It's just a small percent of them that on a need to know basis that are doing this. That's why they work together cohesively, except for the Russian threat. And that is intentional. The whole drama there with Russia and the threat to our satellites. That was something that was foretold by Von Braun, who was part of the game, the guy who wrote a book about going to Mars and having someone with the title Elon being their leader. And he wrote this back in the 50s. You know, nothing sketchy there.
Not at all.
Many crazy coincidences, but someone who knew the game and has a verse about the firmament on his tombstone warned us before he died of all the things that would happen, and they're happening. Not that he's a prophet. He was just around some powerful dudes coming out of Nazi Germany. The one time where we had a war, like a literal massive war, and said, let's take your war criminals and make them our heroes. You know, like, that never happens. Like, I don't think I've ever seen that happen, where we just give them high paying jobs and say, here you go. You made these rockets that killed thousands of us. We're going to promote you to now you're our rocket scientist over here.
Yeah, he was just in the right place to get high level information. And it's interesting. I'm sure most people in the chat have looked into that, but if not, I would absolutely. Is that in the final card video on your channel?
There's a lot of it tied into that. The final card video my brother did is powerful.
Awesome.
I finally I sat down with my wife and had her watch it. I forgot she's never seen it, and she was like, "That's pretty good." And I'm like, "Is it the best video on our channel?" You better say no. That's what I get all the time. That's your best video ever. You know, usually they're mediocre. Then there's that one, and I'm like, "Yeah, thanks." My brother always has to one up me, and he's only made videos for like a year when he did that. And I got him making videos a couple years ago, and I was like, "You need to try. You're artistic. You know, the Father could use you for that." And sure enough, he makes this video, and he spent 3 months doing it, and put a lot. I helped out a little bit, but and I would send him clips and links and stuff. But most of the, like, almost all the editing was him. And if I tried to do anything, I felt like I'd ruin it. He was kind of burning himself out, working so hard. He's like, I'm about to just give up and hand it over to you. And I'm like, no, keep doing it. You're gonna get this done. Just believe. And it's reached millions because it's been on other platforms, and he kind of follows it on other platforms and other channels, and it's reached a lot of people. It's still one of the top 4 videos getting views on our channel now, like even like this month.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah.
Covered a lot of information. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I like that it ties in some of the Rob Skiba stuff, you know, right away about the demons and the UFOs and all that era, and just the dark roots of these programs that we love, like NASA. I had no clue they had such dark roots, and those ceremonies going on, and now there's a show about it. It's Strange Angel, and where they're following Jack Parsons, one of the guys, the founders of Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Cool stuff, some cool but dark stuff. But it goes straight from that dark stuff into this truth about creation.
Absolutely. And real quick, that's also something that I cover. I talk a little bit about Crowley.
Yeah.
And lifting the veil. So again, it's kind of that foundation piece. In Lifting the Veil, we talk a little bit about Crowley, and I have an entire chapter devoted to Babylon, which is where most of this stuff can be traced back to.
Yeah.
And it's always amazing to me how so many people talk about the same thing, but we don't realize that it all goes back to one spot. And they're like, well, what about this religion? Christianity just kind of ripped off this religion, or that religion borrowed from this religion. Actually, no. All religions were birthed at one spot and can be traced back to one guy.
Yeah.
All false religions. There is only one true. So
yeah. Yeah.
Very interesting stuff.
Yeah. When you go back and you see that, especially like that Zeitgeist stuff,
yes,
like, it seems like a debunk, and then you look back and you're like, that's not what happened. You know, Tammuz wasn't born of a virgin. His mom
exactly
Semiramis, and trying to become deified by making her son Helios reincarnated, because Nimrod became the sun god. Like, it's
right.
And it's so they, yeah.
And then you got Nimrod going by 70 different names when the languages were confused. So there you have, 70 different languages calling the same guy something different.
That made a lot of sense. I heard that point of view talking to Matt. We were doing a video about this stuff, called Repackaging Babylon. And when I heard that, I was like, why didn't I think of that? Because I am researching this person all the time. And I'm like, why do so many characters like look exactly like him? Like, why would you look at the Egypt stuff? It looks like the Babylonian stuff. And I'm like, it's like, then you kind of realize, oh yeah, every culture had their own version of this guy.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone said, what? I haven't heard this stuff. Please go over that again. I wonder what stuff you're talking about. Yeah, there's just some deep stuff. When you start having conversations about this, it gets deep.
Yeah, we've been all over the place.
Yeah, we're everywhere. People come joining in late, like, what is this? What is this about?
Right.
Yeah, we're just promoting a book and going all over the place with our conversation. But yeah, that's what I like about these hangouts. I don't script anything, and it's fun that way. You never know what we're going to say. That's why I laugh at my own jokes sometimes, because I have no clue what I'm going to say. Earth is a don't reset there in 50 years. Yeah. So any last questions? I know you guys probably, it's getting late. We've been on here how long? Hour and 24 minutes, almost an hour and a half. Trying not to keep it that long. I know you guys, I know you probably have work tomorrow. So do I. And got the wife and kids waiting. So do you have a big family? I don't think I asked you when we met up. Do you have like big family, wife, kids, or?
Yeah, I've got a wife and 2 daughters.
Oh man.
And the daughters keep me busy. I love them though. They're awesome.
How old are they? I couldn't imagine having
11 and 13.
Oh man.
So,
See,
yeah.
that's the pivotal age where they start to change and they're not the babies anymore. Because my little girl's 5 and
Exactly.
she's my boss. I can't imagine when she's
Yeah.
that age.
The youngest started basketball this year and the oldest started cheer this year. So they keep me busy.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a blessing. But
Absolutely.
little girls, man, it changes your world. You have boys and it's just it's kind of easy. Everything's kind of easy. You know, they like rough stuff, and then little precious the little precious girl comes into the mix and it's like, wow, this changes everything.
It does.
Now I have to own a gun, you know, like what the heck?
For so many reasons.
Yeah. Well, this has been a blessing, man. I'm glad you joined in, and I felt bad. I was helping people before I came on here. They were going to help us move a storage building, and I ended up being in the process of that. And I'm like, it's 7 o'clock. I got to go. So I'm hoping everything went good with them. Nobody got hurt.
Hey, I really appreciate you letting me come on and have the opportunity to talk to your audience and interact with them.
Yeah. Well, it's good. We got to connect. We got to stay connected with everything being as censored as it is. Sharing websites, having a website's genius. People have been telling me I need to get one. That way, if something happens, I'm believing it won't happen, but if something were to happen, you guys can find us. All of our content's backed up on Odyssey. You can find that link in the description as well as ways you can support either Randy or me, whoever you want to support. Make sure you do that. It helps. We don't, people like us don't beg for support, but it is a major blessing, and it helps us do things that we normally could not do, from heating and cooling our office, whatever it is, little things, you know, it is a major blessing. Those of you who have given to us, we thank you for that. It's been extremely humbling, the support we've had, and the things that I have now. I would not be able to have the computer I'm using, the microphone, just so many different things we couldn't do. So it's definitely a blessing. So if you want to support us, either one of us, the links are in the description. Randy will continue writing. I will continue doing videos. We got some cool stuff around the corner, and now I'm getting to where I can sit down and do that now that I've taken a step back from coaching. But do you have any closing words or remarks that you wanted to share, or anything you want to share that we might have left off, Randy?
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job of wrapping it up. Just, thank you again for letting me come on here, and thanks everyone who spent a little bit of your evening listening to me talk. My voice is about shot, so I'm sorry you had to listen to that.
Yeah, we made it. It lasted just long enough. Now it can, now it can crash. Yeah, that's how I get when I'm trying to teach and I'm using my projected voice for extended periods of time. All of a sudden, it just goes away sometimes. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining in. If there's any last questions I see, I'll try to answer them. I love you guys. The Father loves you. I mean, we are just so blessed to have you guys here. This is, you all fellowshipping with us has really meant a lot to me. I think about it every day, just how far the Father's allowed our family to grow and our reach to go. And so I don't take you for granted, even if I don't get to mention and do shout outs all the time to people that support us and all that, and the people we meet. It's you're always something we are thankful for. So I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and sign out, but we'll be back soon, and I will try to give a warning for the live hangouts at least a week in advance. If not, make sure you've got that bell clicked so that you can be notified if we're live. Even if you join in a little bit late, that's okay. Make sure you constantly go back and click that bell, because sometimes it gets unselected somehow, miraculously. So make sure you're still subscribed, continuously going in, checking, because we will be putting out some cool stuff here pretty soon. But thank you guys. Going to see y'all soon. See you later. Catch you later. Whatever the cool people are saying. But thanks again, Randy.
Everyone.
We'll see you all very soon. Stay humble and stay ready.